Call to order the regular board meeting of Tuesday, May 15th, 2012. We will start with an invocation by Pastor Sandra Soley Keep from Unity in Reading, and then we'll be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Haas.
So thank you for inviting me to be here. And I do invite everybody to join me in this time of opening to the gift of the presence of Spirit that is with us this day. As we take a breath together and move into that heart space. For it is from the place of heart that we open to the wisdom of the divine. We open to the calling that we are here together to hold that high watch, to be open and receptive to the wisdom that expresses in and through this gathering of this board. That in all ways, the wisdom of those who have gone before us, the wisdom of those who are with us this present day, is gathered together in consciousness for the highest good, not only for today, but for those who will follow. We hold always that we are a part of a greater whole, that it is in the well-being of all of us that we truly are about that work of Spirit. For there is no separation. We hold that consciousness of oneness, that we are a part of a whole that touches not only this county, this city, but also our world. May we be great exemplars of that highest good as it expresses in and through all things. We are grateful and do say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, and thank you, Supervisor Haas. The next item is the public comment period. Persons wishing to speak should come forward and give their name. They will have each speaker will be allowed 3 minutes to speak. Comments should be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the board. Pursuant to the Brown Act, action or board discussion cannot be taken on open time matters other than to receive the comments and, if deemed necessary, to refer the subject matter to the appropriate department for follow-up and or to schedule the matter on a subsequent board agenda. I have two people who wish to speak so far, Mr. Don Kirk, followed by Russ Wade.
Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Don Kirk, as you know. I've talked to several of you about Veterans Lane, okay? Mr. Modi has told me that it's a right-of-way across there, but it's county land, so you can't have a right-of-way across county land. I've been also told that since the Sheriff's Department occupies both sides of it, it's under control of the Sheriff's Department. It says private on there, and there's no signs so at either end saying you can't access it. And if you want to go to the coroner's office, you have to drive down that road. Well, there's great big potholes about this big around all down that road, plus cracks everywhere. With all the sheriff's cars going down there, with all the buses going down there, and the buses do go down there every hour at least, there's going to be a lot of front end damage on vehicles and everything, and all those potholes are getting bigger and bigger and more. Eventually something's going to have to be done on that. I was told maybe the Sheriff's Department could do something, but it's not in their budget for it. And I talked to Pat Mentoring a few minutes ago, and he said it had to come out of the county budget. So I'm asked that you guys look into it because it's getting to be a really bad road there. And in just the fronting alignments alone on the buses and the sheriff's car, it's going to cost the county a bunch of money every year, and it needs to be done, something done to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Thank you. Maybe we should just close the street. Mr. Wade.
Mr. Modi, which street is it?
Veterans Lane.
Oh, Veterans.
Down there by the old jail annex. It's actually not a public street, so it's not maintained by the city or anything.
I'd like to have us refer it to staff and come back with some
I've
thoughts.
already.
You've already done that?
Done that
Thank you.
a week ago.
Wonderful.
Thank you for your time today, Russ Wade. I want to address your decision with regarding to the shopping center. I think it was the poorest decision you've ever made. And I realize it's hard for you to foresee how divisive it would be in the community, but this is really a time where we need to come together, and this issue has really driven the community apart. I'm a small businessman, and I'm hustling all the time, and I'm way past retirement age. And if you divert traffic from downtown Anderson and downtown Reading, which that's what this project's going to do, you're going to affect people like me. And I would say there's nothing more important than prime farmland next to a major metropolitan area. Why? The big issue that we're all facing is our society is based on non-renewable energy, and we are headed off a cliff unless we really start addressing that. And we're going to see it more and more affecting us economically. It's an energy issue. It isn't paving more farmland. When you drive down I-5, what do you see? You see that big RV center north of Anderson? There's, what, 6-7 acres of pavement and a huge building just sitting there. Go through Red Bluff, same issue. And all you're going to be doing, all this decision is going to do, it's going to drain business out of our already developed communities. And I think it's one of the poorest decisions you've made. And I thank you for your time today. I'm sorry that we can't agree, but it's a very divisive issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wade. That's all the speaker request forms that I have. Anybody else? You want to come here and give your name, please, sir?
Breath running from the parking meter. My name is Irv Corbin, and I, excuse me, I'm here today to ask you if you would write an opposition letter to the senators down there about a SB 1221. If you guys are aware of it or not, excuse me. It's a bill to eliminate the hunting of bears and bobcats with dogs. And I have Tehama County Supervisors have written a letter in opposition, as have Siskiyou County. And thanks. Stupid machine wouldn't copy this morning, so that's the reason I'm late. But, Tehama County Fish and Game Commission in the Red Bluff paper, after I had talked to the county commissioners down there, they went on board with opposing this bill. The it's going to, excuse me, bottom line is going to cost the state a whole lot of money. $400,000 in just bear tags and bear licenses alone. There's a thing I have here for you, right from Fish and Game Department Bear Management Plan in 1998. The study, it was determined that bear hunters spent over $8 million in the state hunting bear. That's not just us with dogs. Like I said, that's roughly about $400,000. And the losses, the $8 million, that goes into consider the all the local communities and the the mom and pop stores that sell the groceries as the guys go to camp. And these were, like I said, $95 when gas was like $3.50 a gallon, cheaper than it is now. So that $8 million is probably closer to $20 million today with everything involved. But the hunting of dogs, if you've never done it hunting with hounds, excuse me, it is it's the purest form, truest form of catch and release. I mean, you treat, a lot of people say, oh, you know, it's like fishing, you know, shooting fish out of a bucket. It's not so. Several of you guys probably deer hunted before. You know what these canyons and stuff are like over here. It's not easy country to traverse. And plus, when you tree a bear, you can't kill a bear with a sow. So we don't do that. And if the bear doesn't have the sow with her, bear with a cub, I'm sorry. Even if you can tell if she's lactating, maybe the cub is put up somewhere else. We don't harvest that. I've killed one bear in 10 years. It's mainly, like I said, catch and release, pictures, videos, hearing those dogs. If you've never heard a pack of hounds run, it's something else.
I'm going to ask, you're out of your 3 minutes, so I'm going to ask you to sum up, please.
Okay, basically I'd like to have you guys, if you would please, to write a letter of opposition to, I got the senator's name, who is the key person down there, and in opposition to this bill. It's a bad bill.
Thank you. If you could leave some information
I
with,
have these for you,
with
yes.
the clerk here, and we'll take it under advisement for at a future meeting. Thank you for coming in. Anyone else wish to speak today? Seeing none, we'll move on to the regular calendar.
Can I say?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to comment on that. I've had several inquiries and requests to do that, so I think we need to get that over to staff and possibly act on that. It is very important. It is a huge industry, especially in our county, so.
I have already taken a personal stand in opposition, and I would love to see the board consider it as well.
Yes, I would too, so.
Perhaps you can bring it back at the next meeting. Okay, board matters. R1, consider adopting a proclamation which designates Safe Boating Week. Supervisor Hartman.
Thank you. I'm pleased to read the Shasta County Board of Supervisors proclamation for Safety Boating Week, May 19th through the 25th, 2012. Whereas the County of Shasta is fortunate to have resources to accommodate the wide variety of pleasure boating demands, and while boating is a marvelous source of recreation, it can be a risky sport to the unprepared. Not knowing or obeying the law or the nautical rules of the road, drinking alcohol, or taking drugs while operating a boat, or choosing not to wear your life jacket when on the water are examples of human error. People are likely to take precautionary measures to protect themselves, their friends, and their families if they have the knowledge and skills to improve their judgment. On average, 700 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the United States, and nearly 70% of the fatalities are caused by drowning. The vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment, and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. A significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today if they had worn their life jackets. Modern life jackets are more comfortable, more attractive, and more wearable than styles of the past years, and deserve a fresh look by today's boating public. Now therefore be it resolved that the Shasta County Board of Supervisors hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2012 as Safe Boating Week in Shasta County. Signed by Chairman Leonard Modi, May 15th. I'll move approval.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously, please. Thank you. We have some members of the Coast Guard who want to speak to this.
Good morning.
See you later, Chair.
We have a, you know what's happening.
Yeah.
My name is Dan Weglin. We have Brenda Belangi, who is the commander of the local Coast Guard Auxiliary Flotilla, Charlie Duncan, Gordon Robbins, and Lonnie Singer. I'm not going to rehash what we just heard on the on the proclamation, but the idea is set an example, get a life jacket, wear it. There are lots of different ones. The 5 biggest causes of drownings: with boating in the United States. First, but this is not wearing life jackets, because, by the way, the first one is open boats. So your ski boats and all that, that's the highest. The second would be canoes. Third, kayaks. Fourth, personal watercraft, jet skis. And fifth, rowboats. Those are the 5 highest vehicles, if you will, that have resulted in drownings in the United States. The nearest statistics we have are for 2010. They're always about a year or two behind. And it's 672 deaths. About 85% of the people that died by drowning were not wearing life jackets. Most of the people thought that they could swim quite well. It doesn't work. In the proclamation, it said there are all kinds of different types of life jackets. So we're wearing, Brenda and I, well, 3 of us.
Yes.
We got another volunteer, by the way. 3 of us have what are called suspenders. They work nicely. Charlie's wearing a little belt pack that you could use if you're fishing. These are the older style. They're still good. Anything is better than nothing, but inspect yours, because this one really isn't good enough to have. Okay, so don't count on that one. Now, you can have life jackets for about any purpose you can think of. And for me, I got 2 little puppies, and dogs always know how to swim. Not mine. So I have life jackets for the puppies. And it's really not, by the way, these cost more than the standard life jackets. I don't know why. But they're really nice because they have a handle. You can pick them up. So it works really well. The 19th is a day that is going to be honored, or if you will, celebrated around the world. United States, Canada, Australia, the United Kingdom, Great Britain, that's the United Kingdom, Brazil and Japan are all participating in this day. And it's called, are you ready? It's called Ready. By the way, yeah, let's get ready. I think I'll be vain here. Ready, set, wear it.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure how we get out of these, but this is... By the way, if you're inflatable, and there are 2 types, one does it automatically when you hit the water. The other, you have to pull the lanyard like we did. Okay.
Still here.
We'd all like to see you keep it on, Chair Modi.
The other one, it automatically goes when you go in. It doesn't matter what kind. If the gas cylinder, this thing that should be checked every year, does not work, you can open it up and there's a tube that you can blow it up yourself. And be sure you have a whistle.
This one has a light, too.
Well, you're
Yeah,
fancy.
I know, it's fancy.
Yeah.
This also clearly illustrates why you never, ever wear anything on top of an inflatable life jacket.
That's the reason why I put it on loosely, because I've got some stuff that's now pressing against my chest, and I think what? Other parts, too. So.
The other thing is you don't wear these in kayaks or swim with them because they'll automatically go off. They have a pill here that will automatically inflate if you get wet. We were thinking about taking a bucket of water and throwing it on Supervisor, but...
You really wanted to see if I could swim or not, huh?
Now, by the way, children, young adults under 16 cannot wear these. You have to be 16 or older to wear the inflatables. I thank you.
Thank you so much.
We could... So how did you deflate it? How do you deflate it? I don't know. We'll find out now.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
You want to come out here? Let's go out in the middle.
Okay. Come on, Charlie, put yours back. Going low.
Should I bring the proclamation down?
This thing wants to choke you.
Somebody modeled a doggy one.
There we go. Now you got yours.
We're swimming.
We'll let you sink.
You can actually breathe.
Lonnie, it's nice to see you back again, too.
You could expand on it.
They're sort of watered down.
I think you're all wet.
Into the depth. The best presentation you've ever made. Yeah, all I do is stand there and pull the string.
Yeah, give me the screen, maybe it's up there.
And just one last thing, if anybody else wants any additional information on the Safety Boating Week, there are additional flyers over here if people would like to get those. The next item is R2. We receive a status report from Public Works Director Pat Minturn on various construction projects. Mr. Minturn.
Members of the board, Pat Minturn, Public Works Director. For you today, I have a presentation of ongoing Shasta County construction projects. I've done this in years past. It's a summary of things that we've wrapped up within the last 12 months, things we have ongoing in construction right now, and projects coming up before the board within the next few months. Oh, what just happened there? Okay. So this year I've added a few new categories. Thought I did.
One of them wasn't computer equipment, was it?
Slate. No. Got a technical problem here. What are you doing here? I might have to log on again. I apologize. I've added a couple new categories this year in addition to the usual ones of buildings, roads, bridges, and water, wastewater. I have also added some road widening projects, and there we go. And some culverts and slides in the Fall River Mills Airport and energy projects. So we'll go through these one category at a time, and I'm going to move through the projects kind of quickly, but if you see one that interests you, please bring it to my attention and we can talk some more about it. So first of all, on buildings. Now, Whitmore Fire Station, board will recall we built about a half a dozen of these in recent years. We realized a few years back, fire did, that by adding a water tender to each fire station, we were able to improve our ISO ratings quite a bit. A very economical way. Instead of adding more staff, adding engines, a simple water tender does a lot. But we needed buildings to house those. So we've added this one in Whitmore. We've also added them in Igo and Ono and some other communities. Vets halls, we did 2 vet hall remodel projects up in the Intermountain area, Bernie and Fall River. DPW remodel, tearing out a bunch of asbestos and storage rooms and converting it into one large room. 2 roof projects. The DPW roof is now under construction right now. Anderson roof, the Anderson Library was re-roofed last fall, and that's this photograph. These are white roofs, so they reflect the sunlight, so they're energy smart roofs. Juvenile Hall, the board will recall, we just awarded a contract to Roeblen Construction, $15 million construction project to build a brand new juvenile hall rehabilitation facility. The jail CCTV project was, that's been awarded to American Alarm Company, $260,000 project to upgrade the original backbone system for the CCTV, an old analog system when the jail was constructed. It's being replaced with a modern system that can be expanded with additional cameras and could be integrated with a new jail. The mental health elevator project, this is this will be coming before the board at the next meeting to award. The project entails ADA upgrades and replacement of the hydraulics, which date from the original construction of the building. I show here a snippet from our online bidding system. Bids aren't submitted this way yet, but plans are available. So we're no longer printing and distributing plans, 100-sheet plan sets for $50 a piece to contractors. Instead, anybody that wants to bid on our projects can go onto this website, download the plans, download just one sheet for subcontractors. Much more efficient, saves them a trip, saves us all the reproduction costs. Mental health remodel project. The intake area for the mental health facility, you come in Breslauer, you come over here, and then this is the front entrance here. We're going to remodel this area here. $1 million available through a dedicated state funding stream just for capital projects. We're working with the architect right now to finalize the scope of that project. And we're also doing a conceptual study of the Bernie Library, potential new library up there. This is the existing facility. It's about 2,200 square feet. We're looking at potential sites, looking at issuing an RFP for architectural services. Bridges. This here is Foster Road at Poverty Gulch, all the way out at the very end of the county maintained mileage. That was TRG Equipment Services, $138,000 project. The old bridge, very high, didn't have any rail on it, and dilapidated condition, as many of them that I'll show you. We also put a new deck on Black Lane at Schmeider Gulch. Of course, this is the old bridge. We simply removed that deck and put on a new concrete deck for $78,000, very economical project, Dunton Construction, local contractor. This is two old state highway bridges on Lakeshore Drive, Donnie Creek and Charlie Creek. And the problem is this was the old state highway, but these bridges are about 4 feet lower than the highest water surface of the lake now. So when the lake was constructed, they added a stub bridge on top of it made out of timber. So eventually, if the lake is raised, I'd like to get new bridges on both of these. I think this is a legitimate project expense. But to get us through the next 10 years or so, we stripped the asphalt off of the existing bridges, removed deteriorated timbers, and came back with a chip seal on fabric to keep water out of all that timber. $71,000 financed with federal bridge preventative maintenance funds. Swede Creek Road at Swede Creek. This was a one-lane bridge, concrete slab. Not a bad bridge, structurally adequate hydraulically, but it was one lane on a poor alignment, very narrow. And so contract was awarded to Shasta Constructors, $1 million project. He built an identical bridge next to it, and then we pulled the two together with a closure pour, removed this old railing and put on a new concrete railing. It's much more attractive, and that project's now in service. So the old bridge stays. This is another bridge in the same area, very narrow, one of the narrowest, longest one-lane bridges we've got left. This is Sweet Creek Road at North Cow Creek, or Little Cow Creek, 334 feet long, and we are awaiting construction authorization from Caltrans right now. We have all of our right-of-way, we have all of our environmental out of the way, and we're just waiting for final authorization. I anticipate we'll go out to bid this fall and award during the winter, and that way the contractor can move in the spring, demolish the existing bridge.
This is the one that has a problem underneath, right?
It's got a foundation problem.
Yeah.
Scour has this bridge was built on the foundation for the timber bridge that was there before, and it collapsed. It was built on the foundation for a bridge before that. Claire Hill actually designed the timber bridge. It was before this one, back in 1930, and he reused the existing foundations at that time. So we can see underneath large sections of the foundation. It's a spread footing, and so the new bridge will be the same long spans and deep foundation. And we'll also relocate the Bella Vista water line onto the new bridge. The existing water line is exposed, and so Bella Vista went in and put in valves last spring, and so that they'll be ready to move on to the new bridge. They're excited about getting out of the creek. Being in the creek bed for a water line is just a matter of time before the creek finds the water line. And Old Oasis at Churn Creek. This bridge is, this is a 4-span, 78-foot-long timber bridge. And you can see from all the deterioration of the asphalt, the cracking, the timber bridge is flexing a lot. The timber stringers are severely deteriorated. So we just completed right-of-way acquisition, environmental, and we hope to go out to bid and construct a new $800,000 bridge next summer. And I will say that all these bridges are being funded with federal bridge replacement funds, 88% federal money. They take a long time to develop, and there are some environmental hoops that we need to jump through. But with 88% federal money, we can't pass it up. And then I have a list here of other bridges that are in the works. These are at least 1 to 2 years out. We consistently have a number of bridges, and the idea is that some of these will be hung up in right-of-way or environmental. By working on many bridges at one time, we're able to reduce the damage from any given delay. So if anybody has any questions, the largest of the bunch is Castle Fall River at Pitt River, and that will be about a $6 million project across the Pitt River. And we're working with the local community up in Fall River. Any questions? I'll move on. Paving projects, each year we try to go back and forth. One year we'll do chip seals, the next year we'll do an overlay. Next year we'll do a slurry seal and an overlay. Now we've gotten to where every year we're going out to bid also with a PRD contract. These are all our private roads that we maintain through charges on the assessments. And so last year our PRD contract was approximately $500,000. It went to Darren Taylor Construction. Almost always local contractors get this. There's a lot of pothole patching and thin overlays. And last year we also threw in an overlay of Black Butte Road. So it's an opportunity for us. It's a miscellaneous contract also. We also went out with a $2 million chip seal project last year to International Surfacing Systems. That was with Prop 1B, one-time funds. And this year we've got a $200,000 PRD contract planned and an overlay of Deschutes Road, also $350,000. Deterioration is pretty severe on that section. It's in front of Foothill High School, and we've had a lot of delaminating and potholes, and there are some drainage issues we'd like to clean up. So we'll do grinder digouts, and just like we did north of that section up to Bella Vista a couple years ago, we will hopefully get it to where it's a long living pavement.
Mr. Intern, perhaps you could speak just briefly to the for maintained miles where the money comes from to repair streets versus if it's not in your maintained miles where the money has to come from.
Certainly, I'd be pleased to. These two projects, the chip seals and the overlay, those involve county-maintained roads, Deschutes Road, major roads. There's 1,193 miles of county-maintained roads. Those are reported each year to the state, and they've been accepted by this board through a resolution of the board in years past. And that comes from gas tax. Anybody who fills up a tank of gas is paying 18 cents a gallon for gas and another 18 cents a gallon for diesel, and that goes to the state and it gets divvied up between Caltrans and us and the cities for maintenance of those roads. Those roads that are not in the county's maintained mileage, such as these PRDs, they're private roads. So those are roads like your driveway or a parking lot. They're owned by private folks. It may be shared among several private folks. They may have reciprocal easements, but they can exclude others. They can tell people, you can't come down my road, you can't come in my driveway. They can put a gate across it. And so those are private roads, many private roads out there. So for instance, Veterans Lane is a private road, and it's not in the county or the city maintained mileage. It traverses county property, it provides access to county property, and similar to a county parking lot, it's an obligation of the county general fund.
Thank you.
Mr. Minturn, PRD stands for?
Permanent Road Division. There's actually a section in the Streets and Highways Code that allows for counties to form these. And we were, actually our county council many years ago was proactive in getting that section in the state law. And it provides indemnity for the county as long as we don't modify the roads. And it's a way that we can step in and help out homeowners. And so if people want to improve a road but they don't know where to begin, come on into the County Public Works office and we'll see whether there's a potential PRD solution.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hawes.
They have to be up to county standards though, right, to be in the PRD?
Actually, we can maintain them in the status that they're in. So for instance, if it's a gravel road, there are some roads out in the Intermountain Road PRD that are gravel, and so we add gravel to those, replenish that periodically, but we can't pave them. We accepted some in that were chip sealed, and so we maintain those as chip seal roads. The protections for us, the legal protections, go away if we start modifying them. So if we modify them, we have to bring them up to full standards. Road widening. We've done a lot of resurfacing over the years. I wanted to get into more road widening to where we're actually improving roads and improving the safety of roads. So you can see we've got 10 projects that are in various states right now. Union School was awarded to Tullis Construction $600,000 last fall. And you can see the problem. A lot of these roads are on the edges of the urban area, a lot of traffic. The cars get their space. You got 2 lanes, but then there's nothing left over for the pedestrian. And so the Union School Road's been awarded, and Tullis should be out there working literally any day now. He's into working days. East Reading Phase 2, this is a picture from Phase 1 actually. You should see what we're doing there. We just got out a section next to the existing pavement and construct a new pavement section. East Reading will go down Old Alturas Road and Old Oregon Trail from Columbia School all the way up to the college. It's a $2 million project, should be going out to bid this summer. We're waiting for a CTC vote to actually allocate the money, California Transportation Commission, in May, the end of May. So we anticipate going to bid this summer. And next to this was the Old Oregon Trail widening project. This is for Columbia School. As we were finishing up the bike lane project, we realized we stopped just at the school, and the school actually is doing a project. They've acquired this adjoining property here. You see, this is the school. North is to your right. So to the south, they acquired this property here, and they're going to make a parking lot. So we said, well, let's work together. You improve your access, you improve your on-site circulation, we'll improve the road in front. So you see, this is actually an artist's rendition superimposed over this. This shows 3 and 4 lanes through there. Currently, there's just 2 lanes with no shoulder. So we're working together with the school. We've recently completed the last right-of-way acquisition. The school is now saying they're likely to push their project to next year. We've come across a utility conflict, so it may not actually be constructed until next year, but it's coming along, and we'll build it in conjunction with the school. And that will be a $545,000 project. Also, another project at the end of the Swede Creek Road Bridge, Swede Creek Road at Little Cow Creek, the touchdown limits for the federal replacement funds end 200 feet from the bridge. North Cow Creek School here has a gap, therefore, between the project and the school. On the other side of the school, there's good access. There's an independent ped path, and there are side roads that you can take. But this little gap here is a problem. So there's a county-funded project, $155,000. We're in right-of-way negotiation right now to acquire the property on the left here, a little strip. The property owner agrees it's a good project. And so we anticipate going to bid with that next year in conjunction with the bridge project. Whitmore Road widening, we anticipate going to bid next week. We'll bring that. That's 3.5 miles of road widening and $1 million construction cost estimate. No right-of-way was required. We started to look at our roads, and finally we realized we're better off if we can widen where we have existing right-of-way. So whenever possible, we're prioritizing those roads. Eventually, we are going to have to go and negotiate, of course, along all of our problem roads, but we would like to get the easy ones first. So that'll be coming before the board next Tuesday for permission to advertise.
Where are the finances coming from that one, Pat?
That one is, believe we have a safety grant for that one. I may ask Scott, do you? Yeah, that's a rural road safety project. And it's a project, it was competitive. We have to put our project up against city projects and other county projects and other city projects. And this one had the fatals, and it had the serious injury collisions, and so it pencils out.
Pat, is this where the young people had the serious accident a few years back?
That was many years ago. That was about 14 years ago, but yeah, this is right in that area.
Time flies, doesn't it? It's
Yeah.
horrible.
And these other 5 over here, I don't have photographs, but the Palisadro Path, that was actually the Palisadro Community Group pushing the park, came up with that idea, and they applied to Caltrans, and they came to talk to us as an applicant, and we're delivering the project. And the right-of-way for that is being given to us by the Grange, or willingly sold to us by the Grange and by Good Times Pizza next door. And Hawthorne Road, we have a safety grant, Olinda Road as well. Happy Valley Safe Routes to Schools, we have one project out there, and it looks like we're likely to get another. And Dry Creek Road was a safety project just south of Jones Valley. All those are in the works. The first 4 should go to bid next summer. Dry Creek Road will be the year after that.
And that's also a safety issue there, too.
Yeah, and those are all outside funding. None of those are county road funds. They take a lot longer to deliver, but they're really good long-term investments. Culverts and slides. You recall we had a big culvert blowout on Clear Creek Road a few years back, and it blocked the road for 2 weeks, and it cost us over $100,000 to fix. And that really alerted us to a lot of problems with deep culverts. The culvert doesn't necessarily have to be big, but if it can be very deep fill sometimes, and that was the case there. And if the culvert's down there 20, 25 feet and the water is still flowing, it was a problem. So we've done a series of projects, a 2010 culvert project, 2012 Salt Creek culvert, and we've done some smaller projects as well, small contracts. We have several different approaches. We try not to dig the thing up and block the road for a week to replace it. So in this case, we did an analysis and we saw that the culvert could be smaller, and so we slid a lining through there, and then we shoot grout into the interstitial space. So in the end, we get like a concrete culvert. Here we're adding a 3rd barrel on Boyle Lane. This is near Deschutes. We had 2 barrels. They were already kind of small. The property owner complained we had water backing up. So we lined the 2 that were there, and then we added a 3rd barrel, and that was minimum traffic delays. And then our 3rd approach is concreting in the inverts. You see, this culvert looks brand new, but the culvert invert, the bottom of the thing, was rusted clean through. So the water starts flowing through that rusted open area. It starts cutting a channel below it. Then the soil starts coming down around the sides of the culvert. And the next thing you know, the water isn't in the culvert anymore, and you lose the crossing. A little strategic investment here, $5,000 or $10,000 to go in there and pump concrete in, puts a stop to that whole failure mode and gets us another 50 years on the culvert. So we've invested about $1 million in the last 4 years in culvert projects. Similar vein, we've got slides. This is on the Cove Road. Cove Road has been sliding for as long as we've been trying to maintain it, I think. But lately, we've taken more of a strategic approach. We've tried to repair them so that they don't fail again. On this particular one, we're looking at using soil nailing, a new technique, where we place the fill. The problem is the soils out there are just very poor, very silty material that just doesn't have any structural value. So we're going to place the fill and then that's a $100,000 fix right there. Also on Lakeshore Drive, we've got a wave damage from the lake. And again, it's eaten into the side of the road. It seems like a shame to invest money just to get back those last 3 or 4 feet, but if we let it keep going, it's going to eat right into the lake again.
Keep talking, it'll warm up.
And so here, we're looking at here. We've added a new fuel tank and moved everything back from this taxiway. And recently, the board approved a long-term lease to an aerial pesticide application outfit for a fixed-based operator. And so right now, the projects that we have in the works, there's an AWAS system, automated weather. So if you call that number on your screen, 530 area code, you'll get a weather report there at the airport that talks also about visibility, all the things that a pilot would be concerned about. So when you take off from the Bay Area or Sonoma County, you might have one weather situation. When you get up to 3,000 feet in Fall River, it might be all different. So it really encourages people to fly in there if they can call up and see that you've got a mile visibility and it's dry. That was a $90,000 project awarded to Wagner Electric. We are also have awarded a contract to Hat Creek Construction, $350,000. It's in winter suspension now for apron and taxiway paving. You can't really see it, but there are some gaps in the paving here. We've got over an acre of asphalt out there, and so there's some additional connections to be done there. And we also have a project that's in design for an air beacon and lighting improvements, and we anticipate going out to bid with that this summer. And these are all 95 or 99% federally funded projects. The local match for the initial projects was provided by some of the property owners up there. A county road had to be relocated, so that counted as some of the match. It's been very much a bootstrap operation, but it's taken what had been a marginal airport, and now it's got a 5,000-foot runway, and whenever there's a fire anywhere in the Intermountain area in Lassen or Modoc counties, right away CDF, the first place they want to go to is this airport now. So
And we do have fuel there now, right?
Oh, yes. There was a brief delay, but now we've got everything worked out with our vendor. There was I believe Chevron had actually, there was a contract issue, and then when they went to turn it back on, they had a problem with the motherboard in the automated fueling facility, but it's all worked out and we're back up. Energy, you'll recall the energy retrofit, which we did with an ARA funding. This was a $1 million project. Of that, $450,000 came from ARA, the stimulus money. And the rules of the stimulus money was, though, that we couldn't just spend the stimulus money. We had to achieve certain levels of energy savings. And so we had to borrow some money from the California Energy Commission. Butler was our project partner in this. And the main thing that we wanted to accomplish was to replace the chillers in the jail. On the left, you see the old units. Each of these is capable of freezing 125 tons of ice a day. And that's what it takes to cool the jail. One of these can cool the jail when the temperature is below about 90 degrees. So you can see in the summer, if we get into the summer, we could have some times when we wouldn't be fully able to cool the jail. The units on the left were over 20 years old. That's the normal lifespan. They date from when the jail was built 27 years ago. So we knew we were on borrowed time. We wanted to replace them. We would have had to have come to this board and asked for $500,000 to do the project outright. Instead, we were able to roll this into the stimulus project, and by replacing some other lighting and package units, we were able to get the overall energy savings up to where it was a zero net cost to the county, but we got these units replaced. The new units are larger. They're 140 tons apiece. So maybe whereas before we would have gone down at 90 degrees, now maybe we can hold out to 95. Or maybe on a very hot summer day, whereas before with one unit it might have risen to 85 degrees, now maybe we can hold it to 81. So it might just enable us to limp through. But more importantly, these are brand new units, and their energy savings alone almost pay for themselves over the lives of the units. Landfill gas, you recall we had a deal, or we thought we had a deal with the Northern California Power Association to harvest the gas coming out of our landfill and generate electricity, and they were going to pay us royalties. At the last minute, they changed their mind, and we still had an air quality mandate because we were emitting about 50 tons of gas, methane gas a year, and that's a very powerful greenhouse gas. So when they backed out, we hurriedly put together contracts for the flare and for a collection system, and what you see here is the flare. You see nothing coming out of the smokestack. It burns, methane burns almost completely clean, and it's a lot better than just letting the methane vent. So we're up and running. We've worked through the backlog of the gas that had accumulated in the landfill, so now we're kind of at a long-term steady state, and we're putting together an RFP to go back out to bid now to find a serious partner who will hopefully take over the operation. Right now we're paying about $80,000 a year to operate this unit. We'd like to transfer that to the gas to energy outfit, and also we expect royalties. Northern California Power was going to pay us $400,000 a year, and we anticipate a similar deal. There's a lot that needs to be done. They need to upgrade the wires back into town. Right now, we're an energy consumer out there, and we're going to be a big exporter when this line comes online. And lastly, water, wastewater. This is a photograph of Sugarloaf. Keswick is similar. Out in the woods, we run these little county service area systems, surface water sources. And so we need to filter and chlorinate, and our existing facilities don't meet the latest requirements for surface water treatment. And so we got a phone call a little while back from the state revolving fund saying that all their funds had been allocated years ago, but a couple of their big customers backed out. So now they're anxious to somebody that can deliver a project very quickly. So we're putting together grant applications now. I believe one's on the board's agenda today, consent agenda, to make an application, and we're told that we're likely to get 100% grants to replace these systems and bring them into compliance. Cottonwood, we have a $100,000 grant from the Housing and Community Action Agency to study the system. We've got some major developments out there that have been proposed over the years, and we never know exactly what improvements are going to be needed if a big customer comes in. This will provide a plan for us to maintain compliance with all the applicable rules. We just got a renewal of our 5-year waste discharge requirements, but there's always something new on the horizon, and this will allow us to plan ahead and not get us into a position where we're in violation of waste discharge requirements or we have a moratorium. It's a long-range planning study. Septic ponds, we cleaned these out last year. We take all the waste from all the septic tanks in the county, and Dean Hammond Construction, again, was a low bidder and cleaned out the ponds. We take 5 million gallons a year, and that was a $123,000 project. Craigview is a county service area up on the Siskiyou County line, $1 million project. Here you see we're building a new water treatment plant for these folks. The existing system was from the 50s, right next to the creek, in danger of erosion, taking it out. We have moved back onto some land that we acquired from Roseburg, new filters, and this is a new clarifier going in. When we get done, we'll comply with the surface water treatment rule, and also I look forward to less staff time being spent maintaining these systems. And lastly, our biggest one, Elk Trail. You recall there's about 15 miles of pipe that has to be put in, so we were very curious of what the contractor would come out with in the way of equipment to dig these trenches. And this is the machine he brought in, and it's you see it runs along. It's like a walk-behind trencher, only a lot bigger, and it throws the spoils into the dump truck, and they've found local disposal areas. Local citizens are happy to take that fill material. They've worked right through the winter. And they're $7 million contract, and they've already been paid $2.1 million for their work through the winter. And here's where they're at right now. Everything in blue has been installed. The yellow, they still have to do. Now there's some things that don't show on here. There's a tank that they're starting to prepare here, 140,000 gallon tank that's going along Green Mountain Trail. And there's another tank site, 280,000 gallons over on the east side. They need to prep those sites and build the tanks. There's also some pressure regulating stations. They need to add a new lake intake. They need to upgrade the pumps on the existing lake intakes, and they need to add 2 filters at the plant. But the trenching and the tanks are 70% of the total cost of the project. So you can see he's probably better than 30% done overall, and in terms of the difficult work, he's probably half done. So we've been very pleased with their progress through this. Tyco Construction, local contractor, really working well with the community. I haven't heard any complaints of the folks out there being able to get around the construction and so forth. So that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Minturn. Supervisor Ball.
Thank you, Chair Modi. Great report. I'll never forget, I made a phone call to you 2-3 years ago where someone in the community was complaining that Shasta County was not doing a good job on keeping up on its road maintenance and its infrastructure, and you were able to supply me with a list much like this that actually established the fact that we are doing an excellent job maintaining our roads and our infrastructure. So thank you once again. I also want to congratulate you on the successful completion of the energy retrofit projects. As you're probably aware, entities throughout the state of California have not been doing well on using their energy monies and the ERA funds. In fact, so much so that RCRC, who received a large contract for those monies, was also recently awarded the balance of monies from many other entities throughout the state because they're doing, like Shasta County, they're doing a good job of completing their projects. So that is another compliment to you and the efficiency of your department. I don't think I saw on your list, if you could just give us a brief where we're at on Highway 44 in Black Butte. And I know that that's not a specifically county project, but I'd like to kind of hear about it anyway since we have it on TV here. And you and I had been talking earlier about Churn Creek and that massive curve. If we could talk about those two, please.
I'd be pleased to. Black Butte, State Route 44 at Black Butte is a T intersection on the way to Shingletown. And we've been in negotiation with Caltrans. Caltrans recently brought forward their plans, and we've agreed on a final county participation. The county is going to put in $200,000. The state will pay the balance of the project. They have some curve issues and shoulders and widening and so forth that they want to accomplish with that project. Typically, those projects are shared based upon the number of legs. So we have one leg into the intersection, they have 2 legs, and then also they wanted to add in some more work. So the county is participating in that project, and I don't have a current schedule for when that will go to construction, but I anticipate within the next 12 months because I saw a very complete set of plans last week.
From a safety standpoint, excellent. Thanks for working ahead on that. And what about the Churn Creek, the major curve?
There is a S-curve down there that's still within the county area. Almost all of Churn Creek Road through that area is within the city, but there's a small gap there across the bridge and through an S-curve. And that road carries 10,000 cars a day. And so we did some penciling. In the last 6 years, it's carried 20 million cars total through there. And so there are some collisions. Most of the collisions that we see are property damage only because the curves limit speed. So we've done a survey of the area, and we're looking to add shoulders to give folks a little more maneuvering room. But I'm hesitant to straighten out the road through there with that much traffic. It's one of those roads on the edge of the urban area where folks kind of feel like they can get just a little bit out of town, and the next thing you know, they're doing 60 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. So our plan is to add shoulders, and that's our plan for virtually every safety project. The problem, number one problem we have in the unincorporated areas is these old farm-to-market roads that are barely 2 lanes wide. We really need to get that shoulder so that the pedestrian, the bicyclist has room, and also so that the cars have a little more room to maneuver.
Mr. Minturn, just a clarification, Churn Creek's pretty long with a lot of S-curves, so which one are you referring to?
Excuse me. It's about a half a mile east of I-5. It's just east of Churn Creek. So Churn Creek Road at Churn Creek, just west of Rancho Road.
So the one that's toward the bottom of the hill after you come down the hill is the first one or the second one?
You come down, you come off the freeway, you come down to the bottom of the hill, you come across the bridge, and then there's a sharp right and a sharp left.
So you're talking about both of those?
Both of those,
okay,
the
great.
S-curve, yeah.
Mr. Ball.
And I want to thank you for your responsiveness on that. I think you worked really well and rapidly on putting a plan of action together. And I know the safety factor is your main consideration there. Last question from me. You mentioned safety grants available for road widenings. On Gas Point, we have right-of-way issues, but have we gotten anywhere at all from any engagement on property owners that would like to sell right-of-way to the county so that we could make a portion of that road safer?
Yes. Gas Point Road is a straight road. It's relatively narrow, and it carries a lot of traffic, about 7,000 cars a day. And so we've done some widening projects. We worked with North Cottonwood School when they put in their new school. We expanded the road there. We've done some other projects in the immediate area. But in the past, what we've done is we've come up with an idea for a project, and we've done the environmental, and we've done the design, and then we go to speak to the property owners, and lo and behold, we've come up with a problem. So we've taken a different approach now. We're studying the entire road and looking at the safety record in particular, and looking at where we need turn lanes, then figuring out what our right-of-way needs are, and then our plan is to go out and try to acquire right-of-way along a broad stretch, perhaps 100 properties or more, and give that to a local real estate agent and let them go out as the county's agent and start negotiations with these folks. It's somewhat expensive to deal with so many property owners, but the advantage is then we're going to see what we come back with, and maybe we'll get 60 or 70 property owners that are anxious to make a little money and see the road widen in front of their home to support their own children going to school and so forth. And then once we figure out where we've got the right-of-way, it's a project of the willing, we'll go in and we'll do our widening in those areas. We're still in the master design stage. We're still figuring out what our overall long-term package is there. We started this about 6 months ago perhaps, and we're working with the Cottonwood Community Group down there. They want to participate in the right-of-way discussion. I'm somewhat hesitant to have private citizens working with us too closely there, but certainly general community support for the project is always welcome. The folks down there recognize it's a narrow road and things need to be done. And Cottonwood's a kind of a community that can come together and realize that the community as a whole needs this project. So I anticipate that right-of-way offers will probably be going out this year. They will be going out sometime this summer.
Well, thank you. There's certainly widespread community support. Translating that into actual selling of right-of-way, that's another question. But thank you for your persistence.
Thank you.
Supervisor Kehoe.
Mr. Minturn, thank you for your report this morning. In the body of your report, you mentioned securing outside funding. How about giving us an estimate as to how much outside funding we were able to obtain during 2011?
The projects that were actually constructed in 2011 and awarded, Prop 1B funds were largely available. I'm going to guess that we've done, just on the road and bridge projects, we did close to $10 million worth of contract work, and probably $8 million of that was outside funds, about 80%.
80%. Any other outside funding?
On the building projects, well, of course, the ARA project was all non-general fund money. That came from the California Energy Commission to be repaid through our energy savings and from stimulus money. The landfill projects, of course, they've self-funded, but they anticipate getting that money back from the gas sales. So certainly millions of dollars here and there. The airport, that was almost all outside funds, nearly $1 million of outside funds to the airport alone this year. And of course the water, wastewater. The Elk Trail, of course, is the main one, but also I would throw in there Craigview. So between the two of those, that's about $10 million, and that is about 4.4 million in long-term loans repaid by the property owners, and the rest of that is all grants and loans from state and federal sources. So all told, we probably pulled in $20 million last year in state and federal grants.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hawes.
That's pretty awesome, isn't it? Thank you for all your work. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Churn Creek down there. If we can't get people going much faster there because there's a lot of heavy equipment coming out of the Tullus and Waste Management and I-5 rentals, and those are slow-moving rigs that come out of there and have to work up the hill toward the freeway. And as we'd like to have those turns is made so you could go, a little faster, a little safer. We have that issue on this side of the bridge too, which could be a problem. But do you recollect what it cost us to build the Dersh at Stillwater Bridge? It was under $1 million, if I remember right.
Dersh, it's actually, my recollection is $2 million.
Well, maybe it was, but it's a third of what the new ones are costing on up the creek that enter the business park. And they're being used a lot by people riding bicycles and walking their dogs and so on at this point. And maybe one day somebody will buy something and build them there, but It's sure a nice recreational area right now, so.
Actually,
That was a good bargain that we got on that bridge, so if I remember right.
yes. No, local contractor, almost always. On the commercial way at Churn Creek is the intersection that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And actually, I know off the top of my head, when we were doing the collision studies, there have been 6 collisions in that intersection during our study time. So that is a consideration. If we straighten the road beyond that intersection, may perform worse. So my plan is not to increase the speed at all. I want to keep the center line alignment the same, but I want to make sure that we clean up the super elevation if there's any problems there, and provide shoulders and maybe even a couple feet of separation between the 2 travel directions, so that folks, we find that most of the collisions occur during rain. Like 80% of them are during rain events. So it's a matter of friction. So also we're looking at potentially a chip seal to increase friction there, so that the cars stay where they belong, and if they move a little bit, they've got a little room to maneuver. But we do not want to turn that into a 60-mile-an-hour highway through there on the edge of Reading.
That would be a disaster, I think. Good thinking there on getting the traction built up, because those big trucks have to come out, and then they've got to immediately go up a hill, and they don't do that very fast.
Anyone else?
Very good.
I'd just like to add, Mr. Minturn, everybody else has said the things that are very important. I'd like to just congratulate you on stretching our dollars. And a good example is the work on the culverts, where you're, with minimal amount of money, making some great repairs that are going to last long term. So I congratulate you and your staff on that. And then also, as Mr. Kehoe pointed out, the job you're doing in leveraging our dollars into bigger dollars, and obviously like the Fall River Mills Airport was a great example of that, or Elk Trail, where we're taking a small amount of county money and leveraging it into huge projects. So my congratulations to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Next item is consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They may be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested person may request an item be removed from the consent calendar for discussion or consideration. I have a request to remove items C3, C5, and C6. Is there anyone else?
Move approval on the remainder.
Second. It's been moved and seconded on the remainder of the consent calendar. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move to item C3. Mr. Kehoe.
Thank you, Mr. Modi. C3 is titled Agreement with LocumTenants.com. Mr. Ewert, thank you for joining us this morning. I have a question relative to the section on page 2 on financing. The concluding sentence or two reads as follows. As these services are largely funded through third-party reimbursements that include a county match from realignment, the contract contains a provision to ensure the psychiatrist maintains adequate billing service productivity while providing services to Shasta County. What does that statement mean? Specifically, when I look at it in juxtaposition, well, go ahead, please.
Good morning, Donnell Ewert, Director of the Adult Services Branch of the Health and Human Services Agency. As we were negotiating this contract with LocumTenants.com, which is our provider of our contract psychiatrists in adult services, we have one full-time permanent psychiatrist, we have one locum, and then we have 2 part-time extra help psychiatrists. One serves the children's side and one the adult. And so we were renegotiating this agreement. We wanted to put in some things regarding productivity because this is very important for the financing of our efforts. And so we wanted to add something about billable hours, because you can do direct services which are billable, and you can do direct services that are not billable to Medi-Cal. And so we wanted to put some kind of guarantor in there regarding that the psychiatrist would do work that would provide for billable services. So we added this in and we sent it to the vendor, and the vendor wanted us to put in this last sentence in here, basically saying that they were, since they don't directly supervise the contractor or the locum, they wouldn't be responsible for the productivity. So it doesn't give us really a legal protection in regards to productivity, but it does indicate our intention and our need for these types of productivity. And we can work directly with the locum provider in our agency on this, which we provide information every month to him. And if he isn't meeting the productivity standards, then we do have the 38-day out termination clause, which we can exercise.
Section 1, Clause D, as you've indicated, indicates that contractors shall have no responsibility for ensuring the provider achieves the productivity rate described above. So it seems to me they're disavowing any concern about productivity rates. And then if you look at Section 2, Clause F, it says counties shall provide documentation to the contractor in the event the assigned provider productivity rate falls below the required minimum of 65% for a period of 60 days or more. Well, if they say they have no responsibility, why would they even be concerned about that? And how did you arrive at the 65%? I'm not connecting all this together.
Okay, let's see, the first question, repeat the first question again? Sure.
We're talking
about... I'll answer the second question since I remember that one, and then we'll go back to the first one. So the answer to the second question on how we arrived at that, we try to maintain 60 to 65% direct service, which is kind of a standard in this field of mental health management.
What does that mean specifically? With the patients, 65% of the time?
But there's services that are direct services that are, and then there are indirect services. So yes, it's being with the patient and doing certain documentation and so forth. But then there are certain activities which are considered indirect services.
Well, let's clarify. We make the assignments to the psychiatrist, correct?
That's correct.
So I'm not following why we're only having direct services 65%. Could we make that 75 or 85?
We could. There are also no-shows. There are certain training requirements and things like that. So we could increase it further. We try to get the most productivity that we can. The current locum that we have is very productive. This is just sort of minimum guarantees in the agreement. And again, they're not guarantees. I shouldn't call them that, but they're indications of what our desires are for productivity. And if we aren't satisfied, we can exercise our out clause and get a different contractor that we find more productive.
Well, if we're not satisfied, we would be not satisfied with our assignments of the time, correct? Because we're the ones that are setting up the schedule. Correct, but we've had problems in the past with locums that weren't being very productive, and there are certain paperwork and other activities that they need to do, and if they're not doing them, it causes us problems on the billing side. Thank you.
The other question was, why would we be asking to provide documentation on when they fail to meet the productivity rate if they have disavowed themselves from being held accountable to that rate? Clause
2F.
Right. Basically, in Clause 1D, they would not. Basically, we tried to. When we suggested putting this in there, they said, "Well, we'll let you put that in there if you let us put this disavowance clause in there." So we felt like instead of just taking it out, it would be better for us to leave in our expectations, even though it isn't a legal something we can exercise legally in the agreement.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Baugh?
I'll move approval of staff recommendation.
Thank you.
I'll go ahead second. Under discussion, would you define direct or indirect services?
Direct services are those that are done directly with the client, and indirect are things like paperwork, training, and so forth, and like the no-shows and so forth.
Bottom line for this contract is the public being served by this contract.
Right.
In a excellent way.
Absolutely, and us maximizing the reimbursement from Medi-Cal. And again, this is a situation where we've had an open recruitment for a very long period of time for psychiatrists. We can't attract one because there are other public organizations in the state, namely the prison system, that pays a great deal more. And so we were forced to enter into locum agreements to fulfill our need.
And when we look at the amounts on these contracts to the public, and I think to us sitting on the board, it seems like extreme amounts of money when you continue to add them together from the various contracts that are assigned. That seems like an incredible statement. These people must make tons and tons and tons of money.
Yes, they do. And we are continuing our open recruitment. Very occasionally, we do have an interested party, and we do have an interested party at the moment, which we will be meeting with. And if we can recruit a permanent employee to be psychiatrist, then we have less need for the locum.
And you've been actively recruiting for 2-3 years now?
Many years.
Many years,
Yeah.
many years, okay.
6 years.
6 years. Wow, thank you.
Supervisor Hawes.
Well, it looks to me like maybe the state better take another look at what they pay in light of their deficit, don't you think? Might be a good idea. Governor's got a lot of places he needs to look.
Well, he's proposing a 4-day work week, so.
Yeah, I know. They're
Maybe
going to get a
that'll
lot
help
done
us.
there, aren't they?
Any other discussion? All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item C5. Donnell, I guess you got that one too, huh? Kehoe?
This is a proposed agreement consistent with my previous positions. I'm not supportive of advance payments. And in this particular contract, the totality of the contract is $25,000, and it indicates under financing the following. As is typical of most equipment maintenance agreements, this agreement stipulates annual advance payments in the amount of $9,360. I don't question the efficacy of the agreement per se. It's just I'm not supportive of these advance payments.
Thank you, Mr. Kehoe. Pleasure of the board.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Moved and second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, under discussion, why do we need to continue to advance payments on this?
Yeah, Donnell Ewart, Director of the Public Health Branch of the Health and Human Services Agency. This is sort of like the agreement that some people buy at the store when you buy a television. It's a service agreement. So they're maintaining the machinery. They come on a certain schedule, and we make sure it's in good repair so that we don't have to incur greater costs to fix it when it breaks. So it's sort of like that kind of a maintenance agreement where you have to make an advance payment because they're going to be doing the work down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
We have a 4-1. Next item is C6, agreement with National Association of Counties and Caremark's PC's Health LLC. Melissa.
Thank you.
Good morning.
This is a great program, and I wanted to give staff an opportunity to talk about it a little bit, just in case any of our viewers may not have knowledge of this program.
Okay, good morning. Melissa Genilevich, Regional Services Director with Health and Human Services. This item on the agenda is actually a revision of an existing contract with the National Association of Counties to extend the contract and allow us to receive revenue, which we haven't before, for our discount prescription drug card program. The prescription discount drug program began in 2007. The board approved that agreement in 2007. And since that time, more than 70,000 prescriptions have taken advantage of the program. Residents in Shasta County have taken advantage of that program. And more than $350,000 worth of savings have been realized by Shasta County residents because of your wise decision to engage in this program. So that was wonderful. Residents in Shasta County, any resident, can participate in the program, and regardless of age or income, anyone can qualify. and it's very easy to participate. There are no applications for the program. You just pick up a card at any of our office locations or any other community organizations that have supplies of our cards. And you can find those at the public library. You can find them at community health centers or participating physicians' offices. Many physicians' offices have the cards available. The locations where the cards are available are posted on the HHSA website, and they look like this. I don't know how to use this technology, but I did bring one, so I don't know if we can.
Speak and it shall appear.
There it is. That's what the discount card looks like. And so you just pick up one of those cards at a location and present it when you purchase your prescription, and they will run the card and let you know what your discount is. On average, the prescription is about a 37% discount over the advertised price. So that's what we're averaging with our current contract. Most pharmacies in Shasta County do participate. We have 21 participating pharmacies, and that includes all of the locations of the big chain pharmacies, so that doesn't mean there's just 21 locations. All of the large chains participate. And the revenue sharing agreement that's being added, the revenue component of the agreement that's being added, estimates that we would receive about $14,000 annually for revenue with the new component of the agreement. So any questions or anything else I can share?
Thank you. And the department has done quite a bit of outreach on this program, right? Publicizing it.
We have. The locations, we've worked with a lot of community-based organizations, and they have these cards available you can pick up. We've worked with all the pharmacies to participate. And those are all posted on the website. I can share those with you. I have those with me if you want me to read off the participating pharmacies or where those locations are.
Why don't you just spend a minute on that?
Okay. In Anderson, you can pick up the discount cards at the Anderson Cottonwood Christian Assistance, Frontier Senior Center, Shasta Community Health Center, or our agency, and the library there. In Bernie, the cards are available at the Health and Human Services Agency. They're also available at Mayor's Memorial in Fall River Mills, at Shasta Community Health Center in Happy Valley, and then at a variety of Reading locations, including Dr. Vanderwoof's office, Good News Rescue Mission, Reading Rancheria Indian Health, Reading Occupational Health, Shasta Community Health Center on Placer, Shasta County Child Support Services, Shasta County Office of Education, Shasta County Head Start, and like I said, all of our Shasta County Health and Human Services agencies in Reading, Shasta Senior Nutrition Program, Simpson College, and the Smart Business Resource Center. They're available in Round Mountain at Hill Country Community Clinic, in Shasta Lake at Dr. Boodram's office, Dr. Chambers' office, and Shasta Community Health Center, and our Health and Human Services Agency.
So to summarize then, any resident of Shasta County is eligible to participate in this program. There are no income standards, is that correct?
Correct. No income standards, any age, any prescription is eligible as long as it's not covered by insurance already. And there's no application, you just pick up the card.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So it won't help you if you already have insurance?
Generally, no. There are occasionally prescriptions that are not covered by your insurance plan. And in that case, if your prescription isn't covered by your insurance plan, you can use the card. Okay.
I'll move approval of the staff recommendation.
Second. Moved and seconded. Mr. Keel, thanks for shedding a little light on this subject. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That concludes the consent calendar, and we're going to take a 3-minute break.